One of the challenges for me is keeping my anger under control and ensuring I don't let it consume me. I don't know whether you can relate to this. I have learned over the last year that it's very, very important to be very aware and very conscious of anger and to recognize when it threatens to consume. So for that reason, it's important to express it in the most, ideally in the most articulate ways, but in the least destructive ways, but in the ways that also allow a little bit of catharsis to take place, so that then emotions can return to something a little bit more calm. And I think it's as well important to remember that if you're feeling anger, yes, we all need to be aware of it and try to control it and express it in the right ways. But remember, the anger you feel is justified. When you consider what's happened to our world and how it's been allowed to happen due to the acquiescence of so many of our countrymen and women, that anger is justified. However, we must make sure that we work with it and not let it control us. In saying that, I'm having an angry day today, and this video is going to be part of that process of trying to express that anger but direct it toward something positive. So if you do notice that I'm angry, visibly angry, then just know that I'm aware of it as well, really, and it's just necessary that I express it in this way, rather than go and punch a wall or something, which isn't going to, be very, very helpful. The video I want to make today then is targeted mainly at our parents, not all parents, but at the parents who seemingly, or should I say clearly, have either forgotten or weren't aware in the first place, or have absolved themselves of the responsibility to ensure that their own children have a world with the same rights, freedoms and privileges as them. That's what I want to talk about. I think the way, first of all, old people, and secondly, children, but I have to say, particularly children, I mean, what's happened to old people, absolutely despicable beyond belief. Children whose lives are very, very young, who are innocent in all of this, what they have been expected to sacrifice in the name of keeping us safe is absolutely astonishing, appalling, disgraceful. I don't have any words to describe how I feel about this. So parents who are maybe sending their children to school wearing face masks without raising any objections, agreeing to the weekly testing in schools, stopping them going to see their friends, and just generally complying with absolutely everything that they're told to do, seemingly unaware of the massive psychological trauma and damage that is clearly being done to children. I want to make some points, I want to ask some questions. So first of all, an acknowledgement. Yeah, I don't have kids. Me and Sarah don't have kids. To which the response from some may be, you have no right to comment. To which I would respond with, having very, very clearly, A, been paying attention very closely to what's been going on, but B, developed my own life values and realising that truth and freedom occupy the top 2 positions. Yes, I do have a right to comment. And yes, if I did have children, my position would be exactly the same. So, truth and freedom. We have a world where neither exists for our children. It's a world of lies and deception. A world of claustrophobia and captivity. Children are being treated like animals in a zoo, caged, not allowed to socialise, not allowed to leave a designated area, literally kept under lock and key. Is this what parents want for their children? Really? And can they conceive that if they don't do anything about it, it will only get worse? Their lives will only become more miserable. Their trauma will only become deeper. And their experiences will only become more turbulent, more disturbing. The excuse or the reason I can't lose my job, I understand that. I do. A lot of parents, a lot of people have already lost their job. Loads. And many parents, whether they have a job or not, have spoken out, have recognised the peril that their children are in, and have decided to take a stand. What about the scenarios that keep rearing their ugly heads related to complete control because of fear? The levels of control that the government are exerting and have exerted on many people is preposterous, unbelievable, incomprehensible. It is absolute pure insanity. And this fear that is directing people in every area of their life, what they can say, where they can go, who they can associate with, what they can do. Again, what example are we showing to children here? But here's the thing. It takes a massive leap to get from the point of breaking a rule to automatically losing your job. It's probably not going to happen. It's an apocalyptic outcome in the minds of many. But A, will almost certainly not come to pass, and B, even if it did, wouldn't be the end of the world. Let's talk about values. My values are truth and freedom. The zeitgeist value of the day that many parents seem to be embracing wholeheartedly, which I understand up to a point. Stay safe. Safety and security. Okay, they're certainly two concepts that need to be understood and lived through by parents for their children. I completely understand that. But at what point does the line between safety and security and loss of liberty and freedom and complete and utter tyranny start? And at what point does the decision need to be made that actually the biggest risk is acquiescing pitifully to everything? Because the risk associated with that is a life of complete tyranny for their children. And there's no saying how tyrannical and malevolent and evil that their experience may be exposed to in their life. And I think the parents who have said enough's enough and they've maybe spoken out, they've refused to be coerced by fear, understand that. And I would suggest those parents also have an understanding, I've talked about this before, of recent history and what that shows us. If enough don't speak out right now. What example parents are setting to their children or showing to their children in the face of a threat? It is a threat, but an exceptionally mild threat overall, and a virtually non-existent threat for their children. Okay, so in the face of that, it's acceptable to lock their children up for the best part of a year, to hide behind the settee at home, and when you go out, put a mask over your face. The thing to do when a mild threat comes along is to run away from it, is not to deal with it in an emotionally resilient and mature manner. That's the example we're wanting to show to our kids, is it? And again, what is that doing psychologically to them? Not only the fact that they can't go to school, they haven't been able to go to school. Many of them have to wear a face covering when they go out. They've not been able to see their friends. They've not been able to participate in sports activities or dance classes, whatever they want to do, generally socialise. They've had a lot of choices taken away from them, and they have been exposed to an exceptionally unhealthy amount of propaganda. Not only all that, but they've been conditioned into possibly believing that this is what should be done when a threat comes along. Wow. And I think generally for many people, whoever's going to be left, that is 10 years from now, 20 years from now, when people look back and they realise the insane behaviours that they were displaying, their complete selfishness, lack of awareness for what was going on in society, or an awareness but a complete cowardice and lack of courage in commenting on it and doing anything about it. They'd be ashamed of themselves. But what about their children? When their children ask them, why did you let this happen? When they're old enough to understand, and what are they going to say? I just wanted to keep you safe. Do people really think that their kids are going to accept that? I don't think they will. Which is why I know I'm playing devil's advocate here, but we are, let's be honest and stark about it, in a life or death situation. It is possible to conceive of something bad, which is what we have now, but also to be able to conceive of something 10 times, 100 times worse, to conceive of hell on earth. Are enough people doing that? I'm not calling into question whatsoever people's love for their kids. Not telling them how to parent. No, not doing that. Not being there. I am, however, presenting an alternate reality here and wondering if parents have asked themselves these questions, considered the risks associated with sticking rather than twisting, and considered whether their lack of leadership and courage, because that's what it is ultimately going to prove to be all of our undoing, not just the children's. These are the questions that I'm asking. For the brave parents who are standing up for the rights, there is nothing more noble you can do than to stand up for people's right to free speech, freedom and democracy, and in doing so, integrity, dignity, humility and courage. That's what I say. There's only so much safety and security in the world. It's mostly an illusion anyway. But once freedom's gone, that's when evil descends and wraps its rancid tentacles around everyone, including the children. So there we go. Right. Anger let out for today. No swearing at all in that. Please do let me know what you think in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to The Imperfect Individual, and I'll speak to you soon. Cheers.